Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte. We are taking a look today at a former first-round pick of the Phoenix Coyotes. Yes, when they were the Phoenix Coyotes, Max Domi. What has happened to Max Domi, and what is the future of Max Domi in the NHL? We'll be taking a look at that in this video. If you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey and want to see the latest news around the NHL, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Now let's take a look at Max Domi. So for the second consecutive game, Max Domi is on the scratch pad for the Columbus Blue Jackets. It's been a rough road here since Max Domi has come into the NHL. So we're going to be looking back in the time machine here at Max Domi before we get started. So he was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, in 1995, so he's getting up there in age. He's an old man now at the ripe age of 26 years old. The prime of an NHL player. And I was kidding. Don't actually freak out. He's still young. Still old compared to me, but still. That's for another day. So Max Domi this season has 19 points in 46 games with the Columbus Blue Jackets, a minus 18 in his NHL career. Almost 500 games. Next season, he will be hitting 500 games in the NHL. He's at 421. So, again, 421 games in 270 points in that span. Back in 2013, he was drafted in the first round with the 12th overall selection by the Phoenix Coyotes. Like I said, yes, he was a part of the Phoenix Coyotes at that time. And his first NHL season back in 2015, he did really well. 52 points that season. And since then, he has never been the same. 38 points, 45 points. His first season in Montreal, 72 points, which is his career best back in the 2018-2019 season. 44 points and then 19 points this season in Columbus, his career worst. So what has happened to Max Domi and why is he on the scratch pad? What's going on with the young Max Domi? And again, what is the future for Max Domi? So Max Domi has not worked in Columbus. Now, if you guys don't remember, last offseason, Marc Bergevin traded the young Max Domi at the ripe young age of 25 years old last year to the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for Josh Anderson. And at the time, I thought Marc Bergevin was absolutely nuts. Why are you trading Max Domi, who just had a 72-point season, 44 points? All right, he regressed, but still, he had 72 points the season before for Josh Anderson, who was a guy in Columbus that was getting injured a lot, barely played that entire season. What was the thought process there? Well, let's be honest. Looking back a year from now, Jarmo Kekalainen was probably laughing, wondering why would he make this trade, and I think he's seeing that right now. Max Domi has not worked out in Columbus, and I think he has fallen victim to the John Tortorella effect, and it's not for a good thing. John Tortorella has really, I think this is his last year in the NHL. I don't see him working any longer, especially with the blue chip guys on this Blue Jackets roster. Some of their core players not getting along with John Tortorella. I mean, we've seen guys like Zach Werenski and Seth Jones kind of ho-hum a little bit, how they have a little bit of discontent with John Tortorella, but they seem to be on the lesser end of things. But even them, they have been benched for an entire period because he didn't like a turnover they had. But we've seen guys like Patrick Laine and Max Domi really get beat the crap out of by John Tortorella. And now 2 straight nights we've seen Max Domi on the scratch pad. And it makes you wonder, the pending unrestricted free agent, will he even want to come back to Columbus? And the question is, will Max Domi find a job in the NHL? And if that's the matter, with what team, what role will he have? So we'll be looking at that now. So obviously things haven't worked out for Domi. We heard rumors that he could get traded at the deadline. It just didn't seem like there was much interest in Max Domi. And there is maybe a still slimmer of hope that Jarmo Kekalainen feels he can keep a guy like Max Domi around long term. I don't see that happening. Even if John Tortorella leaves, he may look for a new start after a career worst season in a contract year. Not a great spot here for Domi. So what is the future for Domi? What teams could he end up with, and what role? So we're going to get into that now. So what teams would be interested in Max Domi? I think there's going to be plenty of suitors in the former 2013 12th overall draft pick selection, but we're going to see it probably a little bit more limited, and probably because of the price tag, that may have something to do with it. So teams that I think could be interested, depending on how this offseason goes. Out west, I like teams like the Anaheim Ducks, who may look to add a little bit of a scoring threat. They don't necessarily have a ton of cap space, but on a cheaper deal, Max Domi could reinvigorate his career with that team. You look at some of the centers they have: Isaac Lundestrom, guys like Sam Steele, Trevor Zegras. That's a pretty good group to build around, along with Max Jones, Zegras, and a guy like Max Domi. Maybe that's what the magic recipe could be for the Ducks going into next year. Another team that I think could be interested is the Dallas Stars, who would love to add some forward depth, especially with the plethora of injuries they had this year, the nightmare scenario in Dallas. They may still end up making the playoffs this year, but if they want to add a little bit, maybe they look at a guy like Max Domi. Max Domi may feel that they could maybe make the postseason next year, so he may want to go down to Dallas. The Florida Panthers may look to add some forward depth as well. Again, another team, not a lot of cap space, but again, Max Domi may come in a little bit cheap this year. If he only gets 20 to 25 points, that may be a guy that is an attractive option for Florida. The New York Islanders, I think, would like a guy like Max Domi. They've got a plethora of young guys already that are like fringe players, but we know that a guy like Lou Lamoriello likes to bring those guys in, and Barry Trotz may be able to get the most out of a guy like Max Domi. Again, though, with a situation like Columbus, where the Islanders are very similar in their play style, maybe Max Domi isn't the best fit for the Islanders, and he may look at the Islanders as an option like, if I have nowhere else to go and I can't put up points, I'm probably not going to put up points with the Islanders. Is that my best option? And that may be something, especially with the depth of the Islanders forward group now, maybe Max Domi doesn't even feel he can make that roster. So that's something to consider as well. What about the Nashville Predators? If the Nashville Predators sell off guys like, maybe a Matthias Ekholm this summer, or maybe a guy like Victor Arvidsson, maybe they look to bring in a cheap guy like Max Domi to maybe play the center role. Maybe if they move out of Matt Duchene, or, maybe a guy like Ryan Johansson, they could get a cheaper center option that could jump in the top 6 for Nashville. Maybe that's something they could do. John Hines maybe comes in and could help get the most out of Max Domi. I know that sounds like a little bit of a long shot, but it could happen. Calgary, again, another team I think could be interested. Winnipeg, I would have thought they would have been interested, but now that they've added Pierre-Luc Dubois, I think the rumors of Max Domi going there back to his hometown team, I think those have kind of gone in the wayside. And I think Columbus has their situation pretty well figured out down the middle. They don't necessarily need a guy like Max Domi on that team. So, I don't know. I think what we're going to see Max Domi, a third-line center role. I think that's what we're going to see the most out of from Max Domi. And even as a center, maybe he's more of a winger at this point. I just don't know I think GMs don't know where the value is with Max Domi right now, because he's put up a 72-point season 3 years ago, and he's going to have likely a 20 to 25-point season this year at best. And he's on the scratch pad in Columbus, who is a rebuilding team. Just not a good look. Doesn't really raise the value of Max Domi. And it kind of makes GMs think maybe we're going to give him a 1 year, maybe 2 year deal this offseason, because we just really don't know what we have in this player. He's been so up and down in his career. It's hard to decipher what his true value is. But like I said, if a team's going to sign him this offseason, you're probably signing a guy for your bottom 6, maybe middle 6, maybe a second line if there's an injury, likely a third line player at this point. So, yeah, not the best news for Max Domi, especially being on the scratch pad. Really hurts his value, but there is, I still believe, some potential, and I think there's a chance that he could reinvigorate his career. Like I said, when you put up 72 points in a season, even in Montreal, I mean, again, he was getting the minutes. If you give him the minutes, Max Domi, when he's confident and on his game, could be a really great player. He fights, he gets in the corners, not afraid to get dirty in front of the net, create a screen, and he scores goals. And what more could you want from a player? And again, just going into his prime, only 26 years old. So we'll see what happens with Max Domi. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, what do you think of Max Domi, and do you think he could reinvigorate his career somewhere else? Give me some name drops some teams that could be interested in Max Domi. Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL, you guys know what to do. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.